And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Welcome to the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast.
Flippity-jibbity nonsense.
I thought it was terrific.
It's not just big, it's yeah.
Let's go.
Welcome, and thanks for listening to the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast. My name is Jeff Morey, and I'm your host. After a bunch of recent interview shows, I figured it was time for another topic show. What better topic with all the crazy things going on in the world these days than talking about symbols, signs, portents, and our society? It seems the conspiracy theories and unusual behavior of so much of the world these days only seems to get exponentially stranger and more complicated. And for those of us believers, it really does pose the question, are we living in the end of days? And are we starting to see the book of Revelation play out right before our eyes? Now, for those of you that aren't believers, and when I say that, I mean believe in God Almighty and Jesus Christ, his Son, our Lord, that's okay. There's plenty of great content and conversation in this episode that applies to everyone the world over. In this episode, we will talk about how signs and symbolism are all around us and have been for a very long time. We will talk about signs and symbols that are right in front of you and all around you, and some from our distant past and possibly our future too. So for all the conspiracy nuts like me, this one's right in your wheelhouse, so to speak. But before we dive into this week's episode, let's talk about what's going on in our country and around the world this week. This weekend is the annual NFL draft, where the best and brightest college football stars finally move up and take their talents to the National Football League. As expected, the Tennessee Titans took quarterback Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. And in a surprise to many, the Jacksonville Jaguars traded up to the number 2 pick to select wide receiver Travis Hunter, who is widely considered by many to be the best player in this draft. To make the move, the Jaguars surrendered the 5th overall pick, their 2nd round pick, a 4th round pick, and their 2026 1st round pick. At pick number 6, the Las Vegas Raiders took Ashton Genty, the best running back in the class, which I have the opinion that running back is the least valuable and most replaceable position. And for that reason, I would never draft a running back in the 1st round. But that's just my 2 cents. My Atlanta Falcons took linebacker Jalen Walker out of Georgia at number 15, then proceeded to trade back into the 1st round later to select defensive end James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, which is actually a move I love, even though we had to surrender next year's 1st round pick in the process. In another surprise to many, Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur Sanders, fell out of the 1st round completely, so some of them might get a great quarterback in the 2nd round. I can't wait to see how the rest of free agency shakes out after the draft, and I'm ready for some football. As President Trump tries to make good in his promise to end the Ukraine-Russia conflict, the fighting remains intense, especially around Kyiv, which was subjected to some of Russia's most intense attacks of the war this week. Trump has issued a warning to Vladimir Putin, urging him to stop and warning of consequences if the two sides fail to come to an agreement. The attacks came merely hours after Trump reportedly asked Ukrainian President Zelensky to accept an agreement that would allow Russia to retain a large portion of the territory it has gained in the war. And some of the best news I've heard in quite some time, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced this week plans to eliminate certain artificial dyes from the U.S. food supply, taking a major step forward toward fulfilling one of his biggest campaign promises. The FDA says it plans to phase out petroleum-based synthetic dyes by the end of next year. So far, there has been no formal agreement or legislation passed to officially ban the substances, So let's hope that gets done soon. I'm telling you, this is major and will dramatically help improve the health and even the mood of our kids and families for generations to come. If you've never researched the effect that dyes have on the human body, then you need to. Anyways, another topic for another time. More good news this week is further signs of the Democratic Party starting to implode on itself, with Florida Senate Democrat leader Jason Pizzo announcing that he is leaving the Democrat Party and declaring Thursday in a speech on the floor that, quote, the party that my dad volunteered for in JFK when he was 18 years old in 1960 is not the party today. He continued by saying that the Democratic Party in Florida is dead. He wasn't the only high-profile Democrat to go on the offensive this week. Freshman Democrat Senator Eliza Slotkin said this week that she wants Democrats across the country to focus on ways to retake the flag from President Trump and Republican majorities, and told one media outlet that she thinks the public's perception of the party is they are woke and weak. Well, I mean, she's not wrong. I just love that they are coming unglued at the seams and falling apart from the inside out. Now, by no means am I saying the Republican Party is perfect, but they sure as heck have the country's values and moral best interests in mind way more than the current Democratic Party does. And in news that I'm sure has the left seething right now, on Friday, the FBI arrested a county judge in Milwaukee, alleging that she had obstructed federal authorities that were attempting to detain an illegal immigrant. Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested and now faces charges of obstructing a proceeding before a department or agency of the United States, in addition to a charge of concealing an individual to prevent his arrest. According to sources, Dugan was arrested outside the courthouse before she entered the building and was then transferred to the custody of the U.S. Marshals before appearing before a federal magistrate judge. She has been released on bond, pending another court hearing on May 15th. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi released a statement regarding the arrest saying, quote, I cannot believe I think some of these judges think they are beyond and above the law, and they are not. And we're sending a very strong message today. If you are harboring a fugitive, we don't care who you are. The hammer of justice is here. Now, Madam Attorney General, when are we going to see those Epstein files? All right, that's what's happening in the news this week. Now it's time to dive deep into the rabbit hole. Or is it? Because as wild as some of the things I'm going to talk about and discuss are, most are true and hold some serious credence to our world and society. Since as far back as recorded history goes, mankind has used symbols to represent something else as part of the human experience and has been used to both recognize, identify, and hide its work and intentions to others and the world around us. Just think of the symbols that you see on a daily basis and the effect that they have on our lives, our mood, and our worldview. For example, think of how you feel when you drive by the local Starbucks or McDonald's. While they're technically logos, they're symbols for their respective brands. How do you feel when you see them? Does seeing the Starbucks logo make you want to get a coffee? Does the McDonald's logo make you crave a double cheeseburger? Do either of these bring up fond memories of a specific day, time, or memory of a good meal, a coffee shared with friends, or a bad day waiting forever in a drive-thru with your screaming kids in the back? For us Christians, how do you feel when you drive by a church and you see the symbol of a cross? Do you feel overwhelmed by the Spirit and the glory of God and all He has blessed you with in your life? I know I do. In this episode, I will talk about some ancient symbology, symbology of the Bible, and some of the hidden signs and portents hidden in plain sight all around us today. Let's begin first with the most important book ever written that has had a bigger impact on our world than any other in history. I'm talking, of course, about the Bible. Rather than always presenting literal accounts, it frequently uses symbolic language to convey deeper spiritual truths and theological concepts. Consider the symbolism of water, which appears throughout the Bible. It can represent cleansing and purification, as evidence in baptism, signifying the washing away of sins. Also consider the lamb, a powerful symbol of sacrifice and redemption, signifying Jesus' role as the sacrificial Lamb of God. Conversely, there is the serpent that symbolizes temptation and evil, stemming back to Satan in the Garden of Eden. Now let's continue with ancient times and some of the symbols left behind by civilizations long gone. There are symbols left behind that are often associated with portals and extraterrestrials. Some examples of this are the standing stones that are all over the world. Probably the best known of these are the Karnak stones in France. Ancient alien theorists and mathematicians have suggested that there are sections of the stones that are arranged in the symbol of the Pythagorean theorem. But it was the Greek philosopher Pythagoras that is credited with first using it and theorizing it. But some archaeologists suggest that it may have been used thousands of years before, as evidenced by certain layouts in the Karnak stones. Then, of course, there are the world-famous Nazca lines in Peru. These geoglyphs are said to be between 2,000 to 3,000 years old and are lines drawn by the Nazca people, and some say the Paracas even earlier, that depict massive shapes of animals such as a monkey, a killer whale, a spider, birds, and even geometric shapes such as triangles, trapezoids, and spirals. Still to this day, scientists and archaeologists don't know the exact purpose of the Nazca lines, but theories range from astronomical purposes to water irrigation to communicating with extraterrestrials. Has anyone ever seen the different sites all over the world that depict a keyhole symbol? Locations include New Mexico, Italy, Peru, and in Japan at a megalithic tomb called Kofun. There are estimated to be around 160,000 of these keyhole-shaped tombs all over Japan. Scientists say that they were built between the middle of the 3rd to early 8th century AD. But what purpose would they have to build these tombs in this shape and configuration, that they could only be seen from up high in the sky? With these Kofun, you have to ask the same question as you would with the Nazca lines. Why would they have been built in a time when there weren't any airplanes or any way of getting up high enough for human beings to see them? And we can't talk about ancient symbols and structures without talking about pyramids. There are pyramids all over the world in many different countries, for many different cultures and different times, but they are all very similar in their design and construction. How were they able to build them to such precise dimensions? How were the ancient Egyptians able to lift the massive stones up so high to the tops of the pyramids and place them in such precise locations and at such precise angles? The prevailing theory has always been that they used ramps, levers, rollers, and sledges. I'm sorry, but I'm just not buying that they were able to do that. Some of the stones in the pyramids weighed up to 70 tons. You're telling me they pushed them up ramps? Okay. And speaking of pyramids, that is the perfect lead into the next group of people I want to talk about. They've been around for a very long time, with the very first lodge being built in 1599 in Edinburgh, Scotland, and they still exist and meet to this day. Yep, I'm of course talking about the Freemasons. I have family that are former Freemasons. The Freemasons are the world's largest secret society, the world's largest secular fraternity, and probably the oldest continuous organization in the world. The Freemasons' intricate symbology to most conspiracy theorists, such as myself, is far more clandestine than they would like you to believe. Symbols such as the compass, the square, the letter G within the compass, and the square and the all-seeing eye are veiled keys to what most believe is a hidden agenda, and a silent language spoken between members that help shape world events and control. Many believe that they conceal not only their fraternal traditions, but also the shadow influence that manipulates governments, economies, and societal structures from behind the scenes. Their symbology can be found all over the world, and especially here in the U.S., on U.S. currency, and plastered all over the construction and architecture of our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. First, let's talk about the use of symbology on U.S. currency and its ties to Freemasonry. It's long been said that the omnipresent, all-seeing eye, or as it is referred to in proper terms, the eye of providence, found on the $1 bill, is a symbol in reference to the Illuminati, with the eye being a key element of the continuing presence and surveillance that is associated with possibly the world's most sinister secret society. The Freemasons have long been associated with the Illuminati, and many believe that prominent Freemasons are members of the organization. While no one's ever been able to fully prove the existence of the Illuminati, stories and reports go back so far and they've been referenced so frequently, it's hard to believe that the organization doesn't exist in some form or way. Then there's the pyramid beneath the eye on the dollar bill, an unfinished pyramid. Some say it represents the unfinished work of a secret order, sticking for global domination. Look closer and you'll see the Roman numerals MDCCLXXVI at the base in 1776, the year of the American independence. Is it just a date or a coded message for some grand design? Every motto, every seemingly little detail seems to be a breadcrumb, leading us down a rabbit hole that seems to hint at a truth and a design far beyond what we are told. And then there is our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. The entire construction and layout of D.C. is practically a map of various signs and symbols. The streets are constructed in unmistakable geometric patterns and occult symbols and can be attributed to the Freemasons that founded the city in July of 1790. Many scholars have pointed out that there is what appears to be an inverted pentagram with the bottom pointing directly at the White House. There's a website called JesusIsSavior.com that has a video that even claims that the pentagram that points to the White House suggests that Satan has an open door through which he can access the president, as well as claims of designs that resemble a square and compass, a pagan owl statue, and a Maltese cross, which is a noted symbol of the Knights Templar. Other sources suggest that the designs of the Pentagon and the Washington and Jefferson memorials all have designs that suggest a pagan design. It has also been suggested that the neighborhoods of Logan Circle, DuPont Circle, and Scott Circle have 6 streets each intersecting, placing, you guessed it, the seal of 666 on the city. I could easily do a whole show just about DC and its history, construction, and symbolism. Now let's take a look at today and some of the symbols and codes that you see every single day and the hidden meaning and messages within them. Do me a favor if you can and pull out your phone real quick. Obviously, don't do that if you're driving, but if you're sitting still somewhere, humor me. First, I'll start with you Android guys like me. Don't worry, iPhone guys. I'll have stuff for you and everyone else to look up in a minute. Now go to your apps and find the Google Chrome icon. Don't open it yet. Just look at it for a minute. Does anything stand out to you? Anything at all? No? Imagine a number 6 in there somewhere. Now zoom out with your eyes. Do you see the red, the yellow, and the green fields and the blue circle in the middle? Look closely and you can picture 3 6s in a circular pattern. Don't see it? That's okay. Maybe I'm just a crazy conspiracy nut, but trust me when I tell you, if you've never heard this before, I'm not the only one who's noticed this. And I put Google right up there with Pfizer as literally one of the most sadistic, nefarious, possibly satanic companies out there. Now pull up your Gmail and then Google Masonic Royal Arch Apron and tell me what you see. You can't deny the similarities. All right, Android and Google users, one more. Look up the icon for your Google Play. Now search for the sigil of Lucifer or the seal of Satan. See any similarities there? Now, iPhone folks and everyone else, go to your Facebook icon. Google Spotlight, DuckDuckGo, or whatever search engine you use, look up the image for the Masonic Tubal Cain. Does that look familiar at all? Are you with me yet? And Google is far from the only one. Anybody drink Monster Energy drinks? I used to be a key accounts manager for one of the largest Budweiser distributors in the country a few years ago. And at that time, we had the distribution rights for the Monster Energy brands. I believe Coca-Cola has them now. So I used to drink them, do promotions and events with them, and sell them. At the time, I loved Monster, the culture, and just being a part of one of the fastest growing brands in the country. Fast forward to a few years later, I started getting even deeper into the preparedness world, and especially looking more into conspiracy theories and things of the sort. And this is when I first started seeing and hearing people talking about Monster and the Monster logo showing the mark of the beast, a la 666. In the Hebrew alphabet, look up the number 6 and see what image it shows. If you look closely, it looks exactly like the 3 distinct lines forming the bottom of the letter M. Oh, and it gets better. The 0 and the monster name, or the O, I guess you would say, appears to be a cross that is being canceled out, so to speak. And then there might be the biggest, most plain sight giveaway, the slogan, Unleash the Beast. I truly don't know how anyone can deny the symbolism in its usage. But let's not stop there with popular logos and symbols plastered all over television and media. The worst part is that they try to indoctrinate our kids into it at a very young age. Do any of your kids watch Disney? Same concept as with Monster Energy. The W, D, and P in the logo all appear to be 6s, which I will say doesn't appear at least as much as blatant as Monster Energy. But we all know how extremely woke Disney has become and how pro-LGBTQ they are and push their ideals into our kids. There is even a show literally called Little Demon that tells the story of Laura, who is impregnated by Satan and her Antichrist daughter, who attempt to live an ordinary life in Delaware, but are constantly overwhelmed by Satan himself and other demonic forces. I'm not making this up. And this show is available on Disney+. And then, of course, there's Nickelodeon. Again, do me a favor, pull out your phone and Google Nickelodeon. Look closely at the little orange slime logo. Now I want you to Google Epstein Island and see if you can get an aerial view of it. Does that look familiar again? I'm telling you, I could go on and on with the kid stuff and all the signs and symbols that we see every day. Now let's discuss some of the people that influence us and have such a huge cultural impact on how we act, how we dress, and how we communicate with each other. Yes, I'm talking about celebrities. And has anyone paid attention to the body language and satanic signs and symbols that they make right in plain sight? Celebrities such as Lady Gaga and Madonna, who I'm convinced are both pretty satanic myself, which sucks because I love both of their music. Then there are ones like Lil Nas X, who has used real human blood in his shoes in his music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name, in which he descends to hell on a stripper pole. At the 2023 Grammys, singer Sam Smith received massive backlash after performing his song Unholy in front of a backdrop of digital flames while wearing an all-red outfit with a top hat featuring devil horns around a group of robe dancers sticking their tongues out. Disgusting. And many celebrities frequently make satanic gestures like the sign of the horns that has even allegedly been made by none other than Taylor Swift herself. Lady Gaga has frequently made the sign of the Illuminati by placing her left hand over her left eye. So many celebrities have been seen posing, making the supposed Osiris rising by crossing their arms over their chest in an X pattern. Again, I could go so deep into this, but hop on YouTube and just look it up. I promise you there are plenty of videos where you can see it for yourself. And these are the people that millions and millions all over the world look up to. So I've covered everything from the Bible to ancient times, the Freemasons, our nation's capital, tech companies' logos, energy drinks, Disney and Nickelodeon, and celebrities. Clearly, symbology has such an incredible impact on our lives and our worldview. Well, that's it. That's my show for this week. Thanks for joining me and talking about symbology in our world. If you enjoy my show, please be sure to pass it along to your friends and family. Subscribe and follow me on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, or you can email me at thepppodcast@yahoo.com.
Thank you for listening to the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast. Your source for real news and analysis on politics, prepping, paranormal, conspiracy theories, and the volatile state of the world we live in. Tune in next week and every week for a new episode. And stay safe, stay healthy, and stay vigilant.